Welcome back to Cheche. If you're just joining us, we're speaking to Governor Kenneth Lusaka of Bungoma County. Our focus this morning has been on security, and we'll come to the county itself and your plans for it. But there's a question here from Karanja on Facebook. Why are they complaining about security when they've done little? When DA was insecure, the then MP used CDF money to build police posts close to people. He didn't cry wolf. He came up with a solution, and that's what you people should do. Don't wait for the government to come up with everything. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I think it's not enough to build police stations because we need personnel. You need equipment to man those. So even coming up with all those buildings and housing need to be harmonized and merged with personnel that are going to man them and the equipment that are going to go with that, was not just enough. I know when I was at DC somewhere, CDF built a lot of those things, and they ended up just being white elephants because there were no people to man them, or you find 1, 2 people manning it and it's not adequate. So as much as it will be a good initiative, but it needs to be merged with the available personnel and equipment.
So we come to Bungoma now, and then this from Mrs. Wafula in Bungoma town. Bungoma residents are wondering why, Mr. Governor, you haven't started working, yet your counterparts in other counties are already working. We want to see you walk around Bungoma town, which is rotten with garbage and street boys everywhere.
Working, you know, everybody, it depends on what you prioritize. The first things that I'm doing, and most governors are doing, is to put structures in place. You can't start just walking around and appearing to be working when, first of all, you don't even have resources to work. So what I'm doing is to put structures in place. For example, I have put, the executive is now with the county assembly. I've told you the public service board is going to be unveiled. The names will be out in the papers tomorrow. After that, we'll have now the chief officers. Then after that, we'll have boards that are going to run the towns. Once these structures are in place, then you now come up with what they are supposed to do. Each minister is supposed to carry out certain things so that we work. Then also look at, for example, the money we have been given. This is the last 4 years, 3 months. The recurrent, the 298, for example, I got. That is basically to pay salaries and, you know, run the office and do that kind of thing. But in terms of real work, in terms of focusing now on development, what we want to do, that has to be done in the new financial year when we have resources, when we have the allocations. But I have already, you know, some of the things that I've been doing quietly, you know, you may look at, you may think somebody's not doing anything. But for example, the issue of revenue collection is very important, because if you look at the gap that we are supposed to use innovative means of raising revenue to supplement what government is going to give us. Yesterday, I interdicted 2 officers who had gone to bank money meant for salary deductions of workers on their personal account. So, yes, so those are some of the things that I'm already dealing with. I want to, first of all, streamline the operations of the former county authorities. I want, for example, I have put auditors are now out, trying to establish how they incurred a debt of 254 million, which they are telling me to inherit. 254 million, who was paid, what was it for? And the revelations I'm getting so far are very interesting. So when we release this kind of,
the revelations?
You know, some things are just being exaggerated, some payments are fake, and those kind of things. We also want to carry out an audit of headcount to establish the workers that we have. Otherwise, you'll end up with a very high wage bill and then no money for development. So these are some of the things that I'm working on putting in place. So once they are in place, then we now hit the road with the development agenda that I have. I'm also already working on a strategic plan, which it's starting today. The people are going there. It will be all inclusive. Everybody is going to be asked. Then it will be validated by Wananchi as part of the integrated county plan that we will also be putting in place. So I ask the people of Bungoma to be a little patient. We have only been in office for 1 month. This is April. So you cannot expect, and this is one of the challenge that we are facing, is leveling expectations. Because you see, a lot of these things, and when we come out the plan, you'll see that there are things that can be done today.
But let me just cut you there short. Of course, you're a politician, and every politician likes to talk about my first 100 days or immediate action plan. I mean, there are things which need immediate intervention.
Yes.
I'm sure you have those on your fingertips.
Yes.
What would be the top 5 or 4 things that you think, as soon as these things are in place, and these are, glaring issues that need to be tackled? I don't want to mention some, but clearly there are obvious
some
ones.
because our viewers need to know.
Okay, let me go into it, since I'm one of the residents of
yes.
that county. The thing is, for example, the potholes, I mean, the roads, road infrastructure within town itself, the capital of the county, is deplorable. The place is dark at night. Garbage, somebody has mentioned, it's all over the place. The sewage system, not functioning. Rainwater running all over the place when it rains. All these issues, I think, are quick wins if you're going to be effective or get the support.
I agree with you. These are what I call the low-hanging fruits. But remember, we coming in at the tail end of a financial year.
Right.
So we need funds to be able to do this. Like I've said, we need streetlights. That's my priority in Bungoma, to promote a 24-hour economy. That was my pledge, and it still remains my pledge. And immediately we get funds for development, that will be a first one. The roads that you are talking about, even the other day, I asked the Office of the President, because they are the ones who handle security roads, to give me some funds to be able to open up the roads in Bungoma town. Because sometimes when these tanks disappear behind there, vehicles cannot even access. So if we open up some of those roads, then it will even make security work easy.
Specific roads were mentioned by this viewer, Misihu, Naitiri, Brigadier.
Yeah, those are now major roads. Those are main roads. In fact, as I will speak now, I have a letter with me, which I'm going to see the Cabinet Secretary for roads to assist me, because there are roads that the C-class that are to be maintained by the national government, like Chwele, Luahaha, Chwele, Serisia, Luahaha, because it's going to the border. Then the Brigadier, the one she is mentioning, Ndalu, Misihu, that one is a Class D road, which we are also prioritizing because it will open up the agricultural area, the settlement scheme. We have Musikoma road going up to Buyofu. That will also link up with Busia. Then there's also Musikoma going through Nambale. Sangalo going up to Kakamega. So these are the roads, in fact, that we have prioritized. I have them. And once we start working, we are going to give them priority, because infrastructure, like I said, is top on my agenda. And some roads in Mount Elgon, for example, completing the Kapsokwany road that is supposed to go up to Luahaha and then come down. That, if it's done, will make work easier in terms of marketing the agricultural produce that we have in the country.
Tell us your plans for generating revenue.
Yes.
What do you plan to get money? You need about 2 billion shillings?
1 billion.
What? 1 billion?
1.9.
Yeah, about 2. So tell us how you intend to raise that money.
One, through cess. We have, for example, Nzoia Sugar has been paying cess. Mumias has been paying cess to Bungoma, because they also collect some sugarcane from that area. We have, for example, other revenues like parking fees, the fees that are collected. Then I have also recommended, because we have to be a bit innovative, we have also recommended that, for example, Nzoia, the nucleus that Nzoia is using today, should that's land that was given by the locals of Bungoma, and people have been talking about privatization, which we said should hold on until the county government comes in. So if the county government cannot purchase Nzoia, or even if it was to purchase, the nucleus should be held in trust by the county government. If it's held in trust by the county government, then they will be paying, Nzoia Sugar Factory will be paying revenue to the county council. That will assist us in raising revenue. We will have, for example, if we also open up the roads to Mount Elgon, where we have the tourist sites, like, one of the places where elephants met. It's a very special area. The tourists also would want to, they've been trying to go there, but they can't get there because of the roads. So once we also open up and get the tourism, then you realize that, and then streamline collection of revenue. Bungoma, the money flow in Bungoma town and Makali knows is so high, but this money has not been getting to where the right place, the coffers. So if we seal the loopholes, streamline revenue collection, get it properly managed, we are able to collect that money. I'm very positive. For example, in Trans Nzoia, when my colleague Khaemba just changed the receipt books, of which we are also planning to do, change the receipt books for 1 week, Revenue rose from 200,000 per day to 900,000 per day.
Wow.
So that means you can see that the amount of money that has been getting.
How do professionals in Bungoma, there's a complaint here from Irene and Kimilili, how do they get into the data bank that you spoke of?
We have somebody, I detailed somebody called Professor Adrian Mohebi to coordinate. He sent out mails, I'm sure Makali also got. I also have you as one of my professionals, to send out people to send emails to all the professionals wherever they are in the diaspora and here, so that I now have a data bank. And that is information that I'm now using. If
For people who have not been reached, how do they access the data bank?
We will give them, maybe after
this. Is there a website? Is there a phone number?
Yeah, there is.
Is there an office?
There's a website. Yeah,
which is?
Controlled by this Adrian Makali, I don't remember it offhand. But we'll give them those who want. I will tell you maybe to
there's also the Bungoma Professionals Forum,
yes,
which I don't know whether you are tapping into, but which is very active as well.
So people listening to this, what should they do if they want to register themselves with your data bank?
I'm going to give them, after this, I'm going to give them a website, which then they can access, those who have not given their names yet, because we want all that, because eventually I want to call a stakeholders meeting of all professionals. Because we have a lot of brains, we have good people who can contribute to the development of Bungoma, but they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, and they have just been hanging there. The one you're asking about came up, and again, it was infiltrated by politics. People wanted to use it for political reasons. At the moment, last elections, the moment you introduce politics into it, then people, you know, when so-and-so calls the meeting, the others will come, others will not come. So they need to remain professionals and to be brought on board.
Is there a problem with land in Bungoma? Because there are several complaints about title deeds not being issued.
I don't think there should be a problem. That should just be an administrative problem, maybe some laxity somewhere.
I mean, of course, there's always been a problem there. You know, in the settlement schemes in Chebuyusi, Mount Elgon, which have been part of the Chebyuk, which have been part of the violence in Mount Elgon and disputes there among the Sabaot and the Bukusus resident in that area. But I think the National Cohesion Integration Commission has been doing a lot of work there, and the Ministry of Lands has gone out to issue title deeds and so forth. I think it's underway, being resolved. I just wanted to ask you regarding the budget. Your budget is is it 6 point something?
6.3, yeah.
What is the, how are we spreading it out in terms of the expenditure? What are your priorities? Because I already had complaints that a lot of the money is going towards making the governor comfortable. 100 million shillings to buy vehicles, 70 million for his residents, another 50 million for this and that, and so forth, and Land Rovers. Can you assuage the fears of Bungoma residents?
I want to assuage the fears of the people of Bungoma County. And they should know that Bungoma cannot operate in isolation. We have what we are calling a governor's council, where we meet and compare notes. For example, the governor's residence, the governor's, the administrative office, the county assembly. We were taken through designs which was done by Public Works. You remember Public Works had started doing that even before the county governments came into place. And then people, some members of parliament made noise and said, no, why are you making things for people who have not yet come to the office? So they stopped, but they had come up with a design. So that is a guide to say, for example, the governor's residence will cost 70 million. So it would be safe, because these are professionals who have given us, to factor that into the budget, so that out of that you can customize, because there are places where you'll need to buy land, for example, if there's no public land, and put up a residence befitting the governor. You see, you also don't expect that you're just going to put up something, you know, just for the sake of it, but a residence befitting. And most of these are a one-off purchase. For example, the executives will not walk on foot to go and do their work. They need to go to places to see what's happening. So we need to buy them vehicles. We need 10
vehicles.
The 10 vehicles. We need to buy them 10 vehicles. We need to buy the speaker a vehicle. We need to buy the deputy speaker a vehicle. That is a government. And a lot of those things that they are seeing in the first budget are a one-off thing, like I've said. They will not recur until after about 5 years. We will not need to buy vehicles. But obviously, they don't expect the governor, deputy governor, or the people. So
it's a huge chunk of the budget going towards what expenditure, development,
like I said,
just outline.
Okay, what's the percentage? I think
the percentage. What you are saying, for example, 3.4 billion has been factored for development. 2.6 billion is recurrent. And this is where we're also having a problem with the national government. Because we are saying, ideally, we should not have more than 40% going to recurrent. to paying salaries. Ideally, that should be the case. That's why we need an audit to know whether all the people that we have now, people that we are inherited from the local authorities and other staff, whether we need all of them, for example, or are we going to spend all the money? And that's why we were asking the national government that if you give us all these functions plus the people, although the constitution says that in the interim the national government should pay salaries, but now they have shifted goalposts and they're saying once the functions come to the counties, then you take over even the human resource and pay salaries. We will end up as salary bureaus, just paying salaries, and we will not achieve anything that we want. But if you look at my breakdown, it is most of the money is going to agriculture, infrastructure, that's road development, and health. Then some of it is also going to education. I don't have it off head, but...
What about industry? Former Pan Paper employees are watching. What's your plan to revive the dead company, Janet?
Pan Paper always keeps coming up. And one of the things I said when I was being sworn in is that I want a reality check on Pan Paper. I've received one report. I'm receiving another report. There are investors who are interested in coming to Pan Paper. But I don't want a situation where Pan Paper is opened for two hours. Before the president gets to Kabrengu, which is the nearest market, it goes off. So we want a reality check to know what exactly does Pan Paper require. Can it be revived or can it not be revived? So that people are told the truth. Because this has been on the agenda for long. People have been politicking with it. Everybody talks about Pan Paper, then it doesn't work. So that, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be getting a complete report, because some report was done by Masinde Muliro, and maybe we need a strategic partner. You know, there are recommendations that are coming up, a strategic partner to be able to run Pan Paper. The same for Kitinda. The same for Malakisi. These things need to be revived. Like Kitinda, we got 100 million in this financial year. Told is still at treasury, I'm trying to follow it. Malakisi, we got 50 million, which is still in the treasury, I'm trying to follow up. But again, the challenge will be, as we revive these things, where are we going to get the products? For example, cotton. If we are reviving Malakisi, do we have enough cotton, for example, to run it? Those are the challenges that we need to address. Kitinda, we are going to revive it, yes. Do we have now enough milk? Because now we have to get into livestock production, get high-yielding breeds, encourage our farmers. Something I tried to do when I was a PS in the Ministry of Livestock Development, give animals to women and coolers to be able to upscale their milk production. Otherwise, so that it doesn't end up as a white elephant. But I know that if those ones are revived, obviously they will spur the economy of Bungoma.
What about your airstrip?
Yeah, the airstrip. We are thinking, we are consulting. Because if you look at the Bungoma, and Makali will agree with me, Bungoma airstrip, there are a lot of high-rise buildings that have come up. A lot of land has been grabbed, and that kind of thing. So I was thinking, and we are discussing with the elected leaders, and I'll put this to the people, that it might be advisable to expand Webuye airstrip, because Webuye will eventually end up being say, a commercial town for Bungoma County. So because there's still land, if you expand that, and in any case, if you look at most towns that grow, there's no airstrip or airport that is right in the middle of town because of the expansion of Bungoma. So if you expand that, but that is, again, that's just my thought. That is something that the leaders of Bungoma need to look at and come up with a way forward. But that's
what
my
you
thing.
think about creating employment for the young people, and because it's a serious problem, not only for Bungoma,
and
but the entire country.
It's a very serious.
Your idea about that?
Creation of employment. Like, when we are talking about revival of these factories that we are talking about, that is going to be one way of creating employment. Other areas that we are focused on are, for example, we want to start cottage industries in places like Chwele, where there's a lot of tomato farming, so that people can be able to make things like tomato sauce, value addition to our agricultural products. We are also looking at, when I was campaigning, and it's still part of my agenda, that when you look at the youth, we need to crystallize the youth. We need them to come in groups so that we can fund them to come up with projects, so that instead of being job seekers, they become job creators. We fund them, they come up with projects, and very many of them are good at writing proposals. And if we can just inject some money in what they are doing, even the women groups, they will be able to generate jobs for themselves.
That town is haphazardly planned. It's most chaotic, I know.
Like many other
what are you intending to do with it? And apart from just the bogus infrastructure. I mean, houses are rising.
Yeah. Viewers have also asked about that.
There are no social amenities to talk about, no spaces to even put up a field or even a social hall. I mean, there's so many youth in that town who have nothing to do to improve their talents.
Yes.
So just that part, how would you intend to handle it?
We want to have all our towns properly planned. And that is why the approval of the executive is going to be important, so that now the executive in charge of planning and the chief officer in charge of planning can come up with a plan that we don't have just constructions coming. And I've already written a circular to stop, because I realize that some clerks were using this transitional period now just to allocate plots, and then people construct, so that by the time you come, you find that the whole place is in chaos. Well, it's just implementation of the law. And that's why what I will insist on, because you remember, Makali, when I was in administration, for you to be able to come up with a commercial plot from agricultural plot, there was something called change of user. Yeah. You'll go to the land control board, yes, and then you get change of user. But these days you wake up and subdivide your land, which is agricultural land, and put a board saying that plots, for sale. A quarter for sale, 100 by 50. In fact, they don't even meet the requirement. So those kind of things must be stopped. So Bungoma is a priority in terms of planning. If you look at the parkings, for example, vehicles are just parked everywhere. We want to create a parking lot, and that is also going to generate revenue for the county. So there's a designated parking yard for vehicles. There's a designated areas for certain activities that take place.
Okay, our time is up. Final thoughts or questions? David?
Well, I think, you know, I just want to wish him well as my governor as he embarks on this very tough job. The politics notwithstanding, and I hope that there will be a better working relationship with the senator, so that he can bring more money to you. Because if you're looking for money and you're fighting, he'll deny you money because he thinks he'll build you. And then you'll try to undercut him from doing his work, so it won't work. I'm just concerned about that.
I don't know whether you've talked anything to do with women.
Yes, women groups. We know women are already organized. There are structures in place. So what I said even in my manifesto is that we just need to build their capacities and also give them some resources to be able to come up with their enterprises. Otherwise, they already have structures.
Okay. And a final thought for you. I wish you realize that leadership is about perception as much as you have not received resources for development. Bungoma people need to believe you are working for them. You need better PR the way Kidero, Joho, and Alfred Mutua are doing. And that's from Agri in Bungoma.
Can I say something?
Yes, yeah? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I think those are positive comments. All of us have different working styles, but I can assure the people of Bungoma that I will live to what I promised them. But as we wind up, I also want to take this opportunity to sincerely send my condolences to the families that were bereaved out of this, those who are out of the insecurity, those who are maimed, those who are hurt, and wish them quick recovery, and just assure the people of Bungoma that we will do everything that is within our means to stabilize the security there so that they can live their lives normally. And also request them that let them give me a bit of time. Devolution is not is not an event. It is a process, and we have to move in a certain style to be able to realize the results that we want. Some may take, if you go even to develop democracies, some of them have taken as long as 10, 15, 20 years, and they are still faced with the teething problems. So what we are experiencing now are just teething problems, but I'm sure very soon they will begin to see that we are up and running.
Okay, well, thank you very much for making the effort to drive and fly all the way from Bungoma to be with us on Cheche this morning. We do appreciate the effort. Our thanks also to panelists, Mutegi Njau and David Makali. Thank you for watching and engaging with us. I'm Odwaki Mimo. Have a blessed week.